In the meantime, we can call to order, I think. We've got financial reports, approval of minutes, and then some old business. Edie Twining's going to address this. So with that, I will call the meeting to order at 7:02. Financial reports everyone should have received. Nicole, anything special?
Nothing special. I've already looked at it, and I don't even have to go through it if you want to just ask me any questions that you have.
I'm seeing under the expenditures that you called out the registrar being over budget by 40%. I thought we increased their budget this year.
We did, but they increased their wages by 40%. What happened is they were always paid like $25 an hour, and they requested that then increase that to $35 an hour, and so to include that, and that's kind of the result of that increase. So I'm hoping the whole budget won't be over the whole department, but there's other things that they're doing coming this fall.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reference, so I don't know. The only other thing that's not on here that I forgot to put on is a carryover. We did pay the contractors $111,000, and we have changed left to about $20,000. And there's about $40,000 left in the budget. I don't know what else is coming in for anything, but I think it's mostly completed now.
What budget?
Sounds like
It did note that there was money left, and we talked about it, and I wondered what it was for myself, if the job is completed.
I don't know.
The hub has not been delivered yet. I know that from...
For the bus center there?
Right.
Okay.
We're not paying for that.
No, I know that, but that is not in, so they have not had their official... They were going to do an official ribbon cutting when that goes in, I think. I think all the landscaping was done and all that.
So it seems like I have enough, but I don't know what else.
Got it.
Nicole, would you tell us what the Old Lyme Fire Department boat expense is and the animal control building repairs?
Sure, if you remember, the fire department came to us this season and asked for upgrades to their electronics on there.
Yes.
Because it was needed for a lot of stuff to communicate with other people, or I'm not sure exactly, but it is a line item in the budget that's in capital for like $20,000.
Yeah, so we approve that.
Right. Yep. And the animal control building repairs, there's a lot of things in here. There was, I should ask Tom Myers, but I know they had to put in an AC, like a window unit, and upgrade the electrical for that because the AC shit the bed on one of those hot days and they had a lot of animals in there. And then there was a lot of carpenter bee damage all around the building. I think they fixed some of that and they had to get all those bees out of there. So they replaced a lot of the wood to get them out.
Not cheap.
And then I think there were some repairs on the inside where they had leaking, but also the bee damage is not, we didn't have a budget for that, but some of the stuff we did, but we put it under an account that had all of this combined to a capital fee.
Yeah, that was, I guess, my question. You've answered what was it spent for, and then the question is, have we authorized it? Have we authorized these expenditures, the Board of Finance?
Not the carpenter bee damage. No, that's not in, no, that wasn't specifically budgeted.
Then how about the other stuff?
Some of it is, some of it's not the bee stuff.
But it can be absorbed right now.
I'm thinking
It's in the
it
budget that's been approved.
I guess I'm just thinking more of a process question. Whether the Animal Control Center spent $5,000 without going through the appropriate approval process. Do you know?
That's a question I don't know.
I can't answer because I just got the bill, so I don't know. The money that was spent at the animal control facility, $4 or $5,000.
For interior improvements?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know anything about that? And then the animal control officer, did she come to you and tell you?
No, but does she have a capital line for, like,
She does, but they did some work on the wood outside because the carpenter being damaged, and that was not designated in the capital for that.
So who did that work? The town?
I think they hired a licensed contractor to do it. The person is licensed, and
Was the animal control officer's husband.
that Tom retained, is my
The husband did?
understanding. What?
And
But Tom was.
Supervisor and authorized it.
Yeah.
Tom was involved in the whole thing.
Yeah, this wasn't like, gee, I decided to hire my husband to do it. They asked him if they couldn't find someone.
That's what Nicole said. I don't know about the
Made
approval.
sure Tom was involved.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I think Tom is our new Phil.
Yeah.
Facilities, yeah.
He's our new Phil.
Yeah.
And are you saying that he was involved in approving it, or you're not sure?
I'm not sure. When I first heard about it, I emailed both of them, the animal control officer and Tom, and I said, if you're going to do any work, like where there was problems up there, please include Tom.
Yeah.
So it's all to them.
Yeah.
I don't.
So, I mean, my question, the overarching question was whether the appropriate protocols were followed, and now that's or at least the question is complicated a little bit by the fact that the animal control person's husband did the work, and we're not sure what Tom's involvement was. I just think we ought to find out.
I might be able to fill a little bit of the blanks. When I was on an unrelated call with Tom yesterday as part of the IT committee, we were getting an update from him as to where he stood, and he did bring the animal control issue up. Because we did budget for, I think we'll remember, air conditioning for the cat room. We kind of laughed about that, which was needed, but I guess the current unit went in the middle of a heat wave, so they bought a $100 window unit to get them through. But in the process of getting ready to do the upgrade, they get up in the ceiling, and there's a mess up there. There's mice. The insulation's been infested with mice and I guess bees.
And that part,
So-
not these, but that part is included in the budget stuff.
Right.
It's not-
But it was still unanticipated. I don't think, so there's some cleanup that needs to be done up there. You can't just stick new air conditioning in with
Rotted stuff.
rotted, mouse-infested station. So as with any project like our houses, you find unexpected situations. I don't know how old that building is, but I don't know, we got cats, we shouldn't have mice, but anyway.
They can't go anywhere but in
I know, they're in
their
their cage.
But to BJ's
Might stick
point,
their tongues out at him.
so Tom was involved, that's good. He's a facilities guy.
Yep.
The question in terms of budget, which is our
Well,
realm
whenever that
is,
capital line item comes out, it's
Yeah.
something that.
I guess my point is, some of this sounds like it was emergency. They couldn't wait for us.
Right.
And lease
To
it
do
to the
anything.
sheetrock and stuff like that.
Well,
The air conditioning has
they
to
couldn't
be
wait for us.
replaced.
I mean, that's too simple a comment. When there's an emergency, typically he's called, and at least there's some authorization from the,
it may have been modest. I don't, how big was the bill, but
The whole thing was 4,900, but also at the time our ACO was out, with personal situations, and she was not able to be on site. And so she was trying to get things done via the phone and all of that.
and the husband is a contractor, he's not just a husband.
No, he's taken, he's waiting on his license number, I guess.
I think maybe the question would be, does our new employee, Tom, understand the process?
yeah, that's where,
Not necessarily animal control.
That's where I was
Because if
going with
he's
it.
guiding this
Yeah.
or supervising, I think he should be able to relate to the appropriate person. You need to go through this instead of Tom
Right.
blessing it.
unless we have delegated to Tom the authority with
Right,
a certain
correct.
budget number to make decisions unilaterally.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we've done
We
that.
don't know on either
If
side.
we did, if he has authority up to
Right.
20 grand and he exercised that, I'm fine.
Yep.
If he doesn't, well, you know what I'm saying. So-
Yeah,
The line item in the capital budget for animal control building repairs is $14,500.
Okay,
So that's, I think, to Nicole's
Already
point,
been-
as long as we've spent $4,900 of that. So as long as,
89.
between now and the end of
left.
June, we can stick within that budget.
No, but BJ's
separate.
point, I think,
Right.
is just bigger. Tom needs to be aware of our bidding policy, and if it's an emergency, at least make a few more people aware.
And he has actually had another conversation, I mean, we talked when he first started about,
Yeah.
well, how do I do this if I don't have money for it?
Right.
First go to Tim and then decide whether we need more money, if we can find money, and so, but he was bombarded, and he's been bombarded since you guys have.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been.
And if that department head isn't within
Yeah,
the
yeah.
building, who is requesting it and who's authorizing it, if that person is absent?
I don't think you ever told him any instructions of how to operate.
Not about that.
So I
I guess it
told
was
him to-
rotten wood and stuff, so.
It was kind of like, well, it needs to be done no
Right.
matter what.
Right.
well, if Tom authorized it, I feel better. If the animal control officer authorized it, I feel
Her
less
husband,
good.
money.
But, and she wasn't there, so who is saying do it?
Right.
All I know is when anything ever comes up to do with facilities, I loop Tom in and just tell him, and I loop him on an email to whoever's involved, and then I get myself out of it.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
All right, BJ, is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a hell of a lot of money, and I don't have reason to think there was mischief going on. But I guess the important thing is that Tom has to be involved, and he has to know what the procedure is to get stuff authorized outside of a budget authorization.
And I'll say from the IT committee's perspective, we've had that conversation with them again yesterday and last Monday. So trying to bring them up, that's why I kind of ran down to your office, or over to your office, to do that, BJ, to kind of bring him up and talk about the budget process. That, everybody's going to get the letter soon, and that we don't want stuff coming to us in May. And work with the department heads on that, so.
Trial.
Okay, anything else on the financials? Anybody? Great, we'll move to approval of last month's minutes. Hopefully everyone got a chance to take a look at them. I'll give maybe 1 minute to review. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second? Any discussion?
I have a small correction, a typo, and a question. On the next to the last page, under special meeting minutes of August 3rd, in the first line, second sentence, it says there was on correction, it should be one correction. Noted. And then, first line of 36 Button Ball Road. Mr. Griswold reported that he has just received an appraisal and will be meeting. Is this a property appraisal, or is it a survey or an appraisal? Or? Okay, so that should maybe be survey instead of appraisal.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but I just noticed that Andy is noted as absent in the introductory paragraph and present as of 7:40 in the text. So
That is what happened.
Well, I was late to class.
and I think they should say late rather than absent.
We never had that line.
Hardy.
Just Hardy.
For the finale.
Those are the only two items I
I
have.
came for Tim's report.
Okay, any other comments or corrections? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstain, because my bird wanted to put his 2 cents in.
Um,
2 ounces? Not worth it.
Any nays? Abstentions?
I
Duly noted.
abstain, I wasn't there.
I wasn't here.
Me too.
All right, we have
Not for that part, okay.
one item of old business. Please update, is that a
Sure,
good place for it, Tim?
yeah, maybe you can approach the bench.
Hi, thank you. I'm just following up on a proposal we made to the ARPA allotment of money for the design of the bridge and trails for Falls Road. We asked for $150,000 and then.
Through the ARPA.
Well, yeah, we asked for the design work for this, and the ARPA allotment was $135,000. And we were looking at, we also added in some contingencies for that. And so we're over that $135,000 for our design work. So we want to make sure that we've got it covered through the town if that's possible. I have some.
Repeat that sentence you wrote.
Yeah, I'm confused here.
Yeah.
So it's actually originally the design drawing estimate was $180,000. I'm sorry, I got confused again. This is not my métier here. But so we had asked for 180. We got 135. We also were looking at we'd probably need $2,000 in promotional and incidental fees and legal fees of $5,000 to get the design work finished up. So if we subtracted, that would be 187. And if we subtract the money coming from ARPA of 135, that brings us to 52,000. And we're assuming there's maybe contingency of 20% on that 180. So it gives us 88,000 that we might possibly need. We haven't done an RFP yet. We are waiting to get that out. The numbers we originally got was estimates from the BSC, who know the project pretty well. So I did bring some paperwork to show you what the breakdown was.
Probably we should explain that the Halls Road project, back at the town meeting, it was $45,000 approved for the lot tip grant, which was for the larger project from their association plan, perhaps. That was $13,500 for that. Easement work was another $7,000 estimated, and that was going to have a trail that would go
The three of us
past Rabel's Goose Restaurant to the Florence Griswold. Then there'd be zoning work on the part of the engineer and zoning attorney for the overlay district, and some contingency. That $45,000 was approved at the town meeting. This project is for the bridge and some of the approach work and so forth. So it's a subset of the other, and the lot SIP grant would not include this.
Right.
This would, hopefully, we would be able to get some funding for that. But this being the design work, once that's completed, whenever that is completed, then you'd be looking to find some money to actually build the bridge and do the other infrastructure that would be required. So it's kind of a two-step thing, and ideally there would be grants to help us with the actual building of the bridge and the other stuff, as far as the engineering, this would get us from creating the design work so a builder could put the bridge in and fix the approaches and all that stuff. And so that really doesn't have any grant source other than what the ARPA money provides. So it's a mid-year thing, which is a bit awkward, and we worked on what the timeline might be, and BSC would design it, and that would get it up through going out with a bid to the contractors. Once that's done, then of course you need to get a contractor to bid on it, and you need to have an engineer supervise the work to make sure it's done properly, but that would be the next stage, and we don't know what that cost would be. So it's sort of an incremental thing.
Also, the design work would help in procuring grants for this particular type of project. The LOCSIP grant, which is really anything that is connected to DOT's right-of-way, which is Halls Road. So when you go off of that down towards the water and try and cross that abutment, that's really not part of DOT's purview. So that design work, we would be looking, we also use the design work to get grants for trails and bridge work outside of LOCSIP. So it's two separate animals.
Could you just sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I just want to be clear on the numbers. So this went from basically 180, 187 with the legal fees to $223,000. Like that's like a...
Right, there's a 20% contingency.
Yeah, because you're adding 36,000, right, to the 187, so you're up to...
Yeah, so it was...
You had 187, 36, 223, right? Like that. So is that it just seems like a big jump from our original estimate.
Well, and I think that contingency is just, once again, trying to foresee the future of extra costs to come up. But, you know, we could drop it back further if we think that's a better way to do it. I'm really just trying to cover us, but...
So should we have put that in the original request, I guess, is what I'm asking, if we're going to add it?
Was there a prior request on this? Was there a prior request on this?
Not of the town.
No, there's never been a request of the town. It was originally a request for the proposed ARPA allotment.
The LOCSIP grant application was 13.5, and that was part of that was approved. This is all a new deal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
180, and that's, did BSC provide the 180?
Yes.
And then you get 187 out of this big contingency, which could be whittled back a little bit, but it's order of magnitude. And then we got the 135 coming off that, and that leaves basically 88, or if you want to cut some out of the contingency.
I mean, I think we can cut some out of the contingency, and that we don't, you know, there's a lot of things that flag. Do we have to get an RFP out to get the design firm to do the work, or do we go and decide to use BSC some more? I mean, those are some more questions that we have yet to answer.
I would think it's a big project. It should go out to bid. And it seems to me this isn't construction, it's design work.
Right.
So a 20% contingency, to me, that seems really high.
Yeah.
I mean, I could understand if it was construction, but that just seems...
I mean, I'm fine with that.
I have just a quick question. Could you refresh exactly where this project begins and where it ends? I don't mean the entire project, where the bridge,
Just design work.
this project starts and where it's,
So, and it's also...
the location.
It would be set up as two phases, too.
Okay.
So the first phase would be from somewhat in front of Webster Bank, connecting across to the Hungry Goose, behind that roadway there, that part of that is a DOT right-of-way in there, to the abutment and the bridge. So that's the first phase. So it's going from the east side of the river over to the west side abutment. The second phase would be trails leading up to Andy's Deli and the landscaping that would be included in that.
So it actually begins at the beginning of, say, the end of Florence Griswold exit onto Halls
So
Road?
if you look at there is an existing right-of-way from Lime Street
Mm-hmm.
down to where you drive into the Hungry Goose
Okay.
area.
Yep,
And it gets very wide right in there.
Yeah.
Because that's where the road used to be.
Yep.
And that's where we would pick it up, right,
Okay.
right at that sort of almost at that corner,
and then it continues
behind the Hungry Goose.
between Halls Road and the building,
Yep.
and then up and over the river, comes back down, lands about where the old bridge abutment
Yeah,
was,
and I think what-
and then continues up to the entrance of the shopping center?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And it might also include what we're calling the town green in the master plan, which would be that open area right there.
Where the concrete footings, basement walls are, whatever you're
Well,
talking
yeah,
about?
halfway to that
Okay,
part, but yeah, up in there.
okay.
Kind of near where the old electric power station
Mhm.
was.
Yep,
Grassy area.
got it.
Now, one thing that's very important, Edie was explaining that as you get toward the bridge abutment, this Connecticut right-of-way and Graybull are very close.
Right.
And Graybull owns, or that property
Portion of it.
goes up to the abutment.
Mm-hmm.
It may require that we have him
I'll
give
be
an
Jen.
easement over that, his property there, so there's a proper way to get to the abutment, as opposed to a skinny thing to get to the abutment.
Have we considered that might
So we actually
be a
did
financial
survey.
deal or not?
According to his wishes of saying, oh, we'd like to have, why don't we make a path over to the Florence Griswold too,
Right.
while I'm at it? You know, he's being
Yep.
really generous, and it was sounding great. Then we did some drawings, and he realized he wanted us to build a boardwalk, basically in the river,
Mm-hmm,
to the Florence Griswold.
right,
He didn't like that it would have to be a stone
Over.
path, you know, so he decided not to do the Florence Griswold part, and I was like, that's fine, we just need the
Right.
bridge as the main part of this project.
right.
And then, standing there, he's like, well, you've got almost half of the width of the abutment, so maybe you could just put the bridge over here. And so, at that point, it was getting a little touchy, and I decided to step back,
Yep,
see if we could get some kind of drawing for him, and said, look, this is going to improve the value of your property tenfold when you have people walking
Of course.
across your property. So,
so we'll design it thinking that we are going to put it here?
We gotta get this figured out before we spend
Yeah.
it.
Thank you.
yeah, so
I guess that's
I'm
a big part of my
trying to get ahold
question.
of BSC this week to see if they can just give us at least plunk down what can go where. Because the other thing BSC has suggested is, you're probably not, you know, if you're familiar with that abutment at all, at the end of those stones, there's a big piece of steel that the old bridge connected to.
Right,
And they're saying, you know, we don't know what the scour is and all the issues with that abutment. You're better off, if this is the end of the abutment and the river's here, you're better off landing this bridge further into the land and putting
Right.
your new abutment in there than trying to go onto this piece of stone, which you don't know what's going on with it.
so,
That makes it, instead of 80 feet of a span, it's a 90-foot span.
so were we clear where the design area covers, or do we have to establish that?
That's what
And therefore, the design fee may change?
The what?
Design budget? I mean, if we're looking for 187,000 minus the 135, is that a true number? Or, gee, 2 months from now, it's like, ooh, well, we've shifted it 6 feet or 4
I don't
feet.
think that length has any bearing on what the design fee is going to be, because the design fees, that's actually making their life easier to land it further inboard.
Okay,
So timing-wise, just sequencing, and I'm thinking about Board of Finance, and then
Yes.
if we have to go to town meeting for something like this, we've got to resolve with Graybill what he's
Yes,
willing to
we
do
do.
or not
We
willing to
do.
do.
Yep.
So this is more kind of informational.
Yeah.
This may be
Okay.
coming.
Yep.
It may be,
Yeah, mainly I'm coming to
In
you
4
saying,
weeks.
what do I do?
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I don't really know.
yeah, but But I do think that the timing is kind of flexible. It's not, we don't have a deadline for a grant or anything like that. So obviously sooner is usually better, but, so I think that if everyone else agrees that we can treat this as informational, there's no action tonight.
Right.
We're on no.
But when you arrive at a point where we know what the design group is going to be dealing with,
Yes.
which is post-Grable negotiation, then we can talk about going, it should go out to bid. I mean, obviously, it's a big number, and BSC should be
Right.
part of that. But we should evaluate, all the firms. It's well above the threshold that we typically establish. But that's down the road a little bit. So, but it is incremental, it's new compared to what we've already approved. So I think that clarification was important to the board tonight.
Yeah, I just want to get
And we
clarity
also,
about that.
Separate the trail and the bridge from Hall's Road improvements. Those are the
Got
two
it.
projects, two separate
we
projects.
also need to talk with the fire department about fire well or standpipe stuff. Another
Yeah.
element that might be necessary.
But that could be done in the design documents.
Yeah.
Because they need to get all the correct permits.
Yeah,
and
but you
all
can at
that
least
kind
get
of
their
thing.
eyeball of,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work or it's a little bit,
Yeah, but I just appreciate you, giving me a minute to explain where we are so far and make sure that, I'm not surprising you with, give me more money. So, but I think the other tricky part is figuring out, even once we get the design documents done, we have to find a way to get the money to do the building. So we're not going to be getting bids in until we start getting money for it. So, and prices keep going up every minute, so.
Yep.
Okay.
Just, the only timeline might be when the ARPA money has to be spent by. Is that 2 years?
2026.
Okay.
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 Yep.
don't take your time.
No.
but-
Yeah, let's not make it trouble.
It has to be first by 24 and recorded,
Okay.
continuous recording to 26.
Great,
Great. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Edie.
thanks.
All right. Any other old business? Any new business? Selectmen's report.
You can just
All right. Yep, ARPA.
on the way here.
As you know, we are slated to receive $2,162,215 total. We received half of that, and we received, I think, another 371 and change, so we're due about 710,000, which is the county share, which we're told will be happening on October 3rd, hopefully. So the committee worked very hard and diligently, so there are 33 economic recovery loans, which are $10,000 or less grants. Shouldn't pay loans, they're grants. 318,006, and then the community initiative ones, which are the businesses, governmental, and so forth. There's 31 of those, I think, totaling $1,783,500. Then there's another 60,000 of social services, 20,000, the underwriting, 20,000, and administrative type stuff, 20 grand. If any of these items are not used to the full extent, the remainder goes to the social services fund. So, I know that the fire department and emergency services are chomping at the bit with anxiety about ordering stuff, but October 3rd isn't that far away. And talking with Nicole, if this really were not, the time were more extended, I guess there would be the ability to maybe use some surplus temporarily to fund some things and then pay it back. But that's a process, and if we can avoid that, probably the better. Okay, so that's where we are with that. Anything else on ARPA? We are about to, we're stuffing envelopes for the smaller ones, and those people will be getting their letters and then picking up their checks and signing for them, probably before the end of September, and then if the 3rd of October is the date for the bigger money, then we will have another batch of things going out to notify all those people. Okay, Soundview sidewalks, we paid the last application for payment, so we have 18,000 and change of retainage remaining. There are a couple of items that the committee is supervising. The grass on some part of the property didn't do so well, so you have to do that. And there are a couple of other things, but we're confident the retainage will be more than enough for what's remaining. And that should hopefully close out, I don't know when to expect, but when the grass, probably it will hold it into the next summer. If we see if the grass does well, and anything else, any trees die and stuff. Sewers, Soundview Sewers, we had a public information meeting on the 27th of August in the middle school. We probably had 125 people showed up. The beach presidents and WPCA people pretty much ran with it. We had the honor of having Senator Blumenthal address us by telephone or Zoom, which I think would indicate that he's going to be trying hard to find us some additional money, because really that meeting pointed out that because you have the sewer expense, you have stormwater drainage, and Miami alone has 3 miles of road, and they've got to do a lot of stormwater drainage. They're going to spend a couple million on drainage. So, and then redoing the roads once all that's done. So some of these beaches are looking at some serious numbers. Soundview really does not have much in the way of stormwater drainage work. But all the homeowners are trying to do the math and say, what's it going to cost me? At the moment, we have clean water money, which will provide a 25% grant for eligible items for sewers, not drainage. Then there are the rest of it can be paid over 20 years at a 2% loan. So that sounds good. But I think the mindset is 25,000 per house type of thing. But if it gets to be 30, 35, 40, you go on up, then those homeowners are going to start balking. You have 4 entities. As you know, the town has a $9 million bond authorization, which has not been used. So that probably is pretty good for the town portion. But the 3 beaches have to raise their own money themselves. And if it exceeds what they have already approved, then if they go back for an increase, the answer may not be yes. So there was an approach to Congressman Courtney for a $14 million grant. That didn't work. We have the 2 senators working on hopefully 11 and change million grant, and we're also talking with Mark Boughton, who's the governor's infrastructure liaison, in addition to being DRS commissioner. So we have, got some fishing lines out in the water, and we hope we'll catch a good one. Failing that, the DEP might tolerate a postponement of things, because if it's economically infeasible, I don't think the DEP would say, you have a consent order, you do it, or we're putting you in jail. I think they would have to allow for a pause. But we also have the Route 156 repaving situation, which the DOT's going like this, saying, hurry up, guys. So it's quite a kettle of fish, and I know the group has been working very hard trying to do what they can. So I would say the next quarter will be pretty important to see what's Senior Center, Point One Architect is working on the schematics. They had a meeting up there recently, and, they're doing some more work on it, so they're just gonna be working on that probably for a few months till they get the final design documents all set, and then they'll be ready to probably put that out to bid at maybe next calendar year, I expect, something like that. Ferry Road, we're thinking at this point, we're meeting tomorrow, but likely if everything is in line with the cost estimates and so forth from the engineer, we might try to put that out to bid in February, March of next year, and maybe the construction could be April or May, get it done before Memorial Day. That would be a goal. So we'll have more on that very shortly. Swan Brook Culvert is ready to go as soon as the ARPA funds roll. As you know, it's in the budget, but it's also ARPA approved, so we'll use the ARPA money when that happens. And I think the contractors ordered the materials. We didn't tell them to, of course, but so that should be ready to go. I don't know what I did. Okay, Button Ball Road, as was mentioned, we have a committee which is comprised of 2 members each of Inland Wetlands, Harbor Management, and Open Space. And you have some polarization in the group. Harbor Management there's one member who wants to immediately make this a park and have a platform out to the mud flats, water, and so forth. And the other spectrum is we have to go slow. You can have people on the property, look out at pretty sites, but let's stay off the marsh. Let's not do anything until we get an analysis of the marsh. So we're trying to keep the children playing nicely with each other. We do
Stay out of the paper. Stay out of the newspaper.
Yeah.
Tough for that crowd, I think.
Blackwall gets involved because they had a no trespassing sign that was found to be offensive.
Wow.
So we do have the survey of the wetlands, inland wetlands, and which are not on the property, but tidal wetlands. And so to enable the public to come there effectively, we think there needs to be some temporary signage that identifies, we don't have a name for it yet. There's been McGowan Landing, although the landing moniker right now, I don't know, or maybe Horseneck, which is Horseneck Creek. So that's being also discussed. But you could have people come and look, but stay off the marsh. I think that should be the first stage, and then we'll take it from there. Tanaheg, that's just been wonderful.
Any threats yet?
We received a report from our council, and the author said that his opinion that the town owns Tanaheg Road, which comes down from 156 to the property and the Century down the way it goes. And there's a survey that was done in the 30s that kind of demarks where it goes on the property. The abutters say the survey's a fraud, and that the actual right-of-way would be where the water course is and so forth. So we're hoping that maybe between the two sides, some negotiation might occur where there'd be something worked out short of 10 years of litigation, like the one in Lyme. But we went down there with the tractor and a flail mower and buzzed the vegetation just to show that we're big shots, we're on property. So we'll see where that goes. Shoreline Gateway has undertaken a survey for the Soundview corridor from Mile Creek to the PD, essentially, So those surveys are being completed, and they'll take it from there. We, effective tomorrow, have cyber insurance for the town, a sum of $2 million. And that gets us
Good job, Andy.
to July 30th, and then it's through Travelers, so that's a good thing. Thanks to a lot of people, but particularly Tom Meyer worked hard on that, and so that's good news. We welcome Eric Knapp, our new land use coordinator, taking over Dan Beret, and Tom Meyer, our facility/information tech coordinator. And you may know that Michelle Noren and our two greeters, Jessica Glanz and Suzanne Thompson, have sunsetted. We don't have the people at their desk anymore.
Jim, does that, when you say Michelle Noren sunsetted, does that mean that position is eliminated?
No.
We're looking for a person to replace her?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We currently have advertising for a human resource individual or company, and we have applications that are coming in for the assistant.
Okay, good.
Myself.
But not for greeters, those have
No.
sunsetted. Okay, great.
Yeah, the percentage reimbursement, I think, went from 100 to 90, a bit back, and so, you know, COVID seems to be on the wane. The police, that has been a lot of fun as well. We have a resignation. Can I talk about this?
Maybe
No.
not.
Well, there have been some resignations, actually, of some officers. I think...
Leave it at that.
Hmm?
Leave it at that.
Why is it not public information?
Yeah, you should disclose only what's publicly available, because this meeting is public information.
Right.
Well, I think a couple of resignations are...
Wouldn't poke the bear.
I wouldn't.
Well, just leave it at that. And we have hired Stephen Hackett, who was a ranger in town, nice young fella, he lives on the post road, kids go to school. I said, you're coming from Sabre, so if you screw up, we're going to cut off your left arm. So, but I think these little conundrums within the police department are about to wrap up, which would be a huge relief.
Tim, without, again, disclosing anything that isn't publicly available or appropriate, did the resignations, in your view, reflect any problems, systemic problems in the police department?
I don't think
that's a fair question.
There's paperwork that has to be finished, and until that's done, I don't think we should.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And, yeah, so there'll be some financial...
September the academy. We're going to try to post something this week or next week, and to get some applications by then coming in the academy in January. The newbie, fresh, no past experience.
An empty canvas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No baggage.
At our next meeting, we'll talk to you about some of the financial consequences, but...
Next, another time, yeah.
And Thursday, I invite you all to the special town meeting, which covers the budget transfers. We have $59,000 for the selectman office legal. You know, between all the things that have been going on, that's been a nightmare. So we have $2,100 for historic district because we gave them some money and then they needed some additional money. So the second bite of the apple requires that. Townwood Park bought material for 2 years in the future. At a good price and available. So that is just pre-buying. And the transfer station had to grind up a lot of material, and the shipping, which used to be de minimis, is significant. So about $112,000. but it's all being handled within the town budget, transfer from health insurance and little dribs and drabs from other places. So we're not having to appropriate anything from surplus, it's just moving stuff around, but because of the dollar amounts, it's at 5 o'clock.
5 or 5:30?
5:30, excuse me, here on Thursday. And, you know, if you're having some time, come by because we don't want to have any surprises. So that's about it.
Absentee ballots for that? Absentee.
Oh, boy, there was a brouhaha with this school thing. Because we got all these lawyers, you know, and the Secretary of State, there's just email after email after email. And, you know, I think the latest word was if you have the voting in the middle school, so long as the school ballot thing, yes, no, is in the cafeteria, and that's 75 feet away from the election. So the people who are electors can vote, and then they walk down the hall and they get their ballot to vote on the school project. And people who own property who are not voters would go to the cafeteria directly, because you can vote on the budget as a property owner.
Right.
So the lawyers have turned this thing into a mixmaster, and I don't know what the answer is.
I just came from a meeting.
Is it going to happen?
Yes, it's looking better. So bonding attorney has to do all the pull from each state statute, which overrided which. But it does look like the electors in town will be able to do the referendum and their state voting in the same room. It's the registered voters.
But then there was another issue about 60 days notice. Has that been resolved?
According to Ian, things are looking much brighter.
All right.
Again, my recommendation to the group was one attorney needs to give clear direction to both the towns so that we can point to a single document and say, this is it. I hope that that's happening. So,
Well, that's it.
yeah, because getting 5 attorneys together with no goal of that document, you know, the election will be here and gone by the time we're done.
3 too many, maybe?
Yeah, but but needfully so. Yeah.
Right.
So,
And I think that they have.
Yeah.
I mean,
but no one was giving them the clear direction of what the desire of the group was. Hey, give us. We want to execute what's legal. Tell us what that is.
Today,
So.
full line attorney, bonding attorney, and the state Secretary of State's office, and
5 lawyers. Yeah. At least the Secretary of State guy is not under investigation. You can't make it up, but I think Friday's meeting was a good result, because the more people that vote in that, the more confidence the community has. And the high school was a disaster of a process and was very divisive. So I think that we're on a good path right now. So.
And lastly, I have a very nice card from the Littleton Volunteers for the contribution the town does. We get these periodically, so thank you. That's it.
Right. Tim, could we go back to the sewer project for a minute? It has an overall budget of about $55 million, is that right?
That's soup to nuts.
Right. And our share for Soundview is about...
No, you can't divide it by the whole, because we don't have the drainage as do others. So...
But what do you think the number is for the Soundview portion?
Say roughly 8 million.
Mm-hmm.
So if we got 11 million, call it 12, and everybody got about 4, which would not be that simple.
Mm-hmm.
It would work.
And you said, from wherever this came, that homeowners might be willing to or able to absorb perhaps $25,000 per average household, but if it gets a lot more than that, it's going to be a problem. Do you know, just from an arithmetic standpoint, if the $55 million is divided by the number of applicable households,
Around 900 and some,
Say what?
about 900 and some.
900 households.
So how many dollars is that per household? What my question really is how much of a grant do we need to bring the 55 million down to a number that would be affordable for the households?
11.2 would be
That would do it?
somewhat pretty helpful, and anything more than that would be very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think some of the beaches are prepared for a lot more than 25, but they're not prepared for 40 or 50.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to come up with what really will happen. Probably most of these beaches, they're mainly houses. Soundview, you have businesses, different sizes, and Soundview is doing it on this economic dwelling unit or equivalent dwelling unit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 1,250 square feet. So if you take a house that's 800 square feet, that they'll pay less.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have the community center or the pavilion, you're going to be paying like 3. So it's a bit, and they're pretty charged up.
There's no restrooms at the pavilion, though.
I recall, within the past several years, there's been an opinion voiced by the Soundview folks that the taxpayers of Old Lyme generally should absorb some of the costs of sewer.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Well, I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying that was a position expressed, and my question is whether it is still being expressed. Is there still?
I would ask them, when the town does something for the benefit of the population, a park, a library, this or that, you can go there. I don't think you would be welcome in somebody's house to use their septic system that you're paying for.
So that's not a big bone of contention at the moment, as far as I know.
Well, it is. They want the town to help. They're not saying they want the whole thing paid for.
Hasn't gone away.
But I think it's a slippery slope. And, we didn't create those lots as a town.
I'm preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it remains an issue, to be aware of.
And it will until
Till the end.
until
it's resolved.
Even after, it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Not,
Not to anyone's satisfaction.
right.
Hawks Nest will help.
Oh, gladly. Now you're gonna help with the fireworks, aren't you?
Whoa.
Did you see them?
Yes.
Oh, see?
I saw your fireworks. I heard you. All right, good. Anything else? Other questions for Tim, et cetera? Motion to adjourn, I'll entertain.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Oh, is the meeting? Is that it?
Yes.